Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. Today we're going to check it out, the 50% discounts on the tanks that are in the sale right now. Here are every single one of them, and we're going to check it out doing this, an actual tier list like we did with the aircraft. So let's get to it. I don't want this video to actually be too long. But yes, we have, oh, I thought it was missing a tank here. But we have these 5 ones that I basically put it here. The most bang for the buck, great investments, not great, not terrible, kind of bad, but it has something to do, something good in it, and money out of the window. To be honest, I will do this, basically this is going to be a disclaimer. It's not that a certain vehicle is good or bad or anything like that, right? It's just that my personal opinion on the vehicles that I would buy, you know, and the ones that I wouldn't. So, for example, let's start with these two just to show this example. The Leopard 2D, it's one that I have. And yeah, I think it's an amazing tank. I really do like it. And yeah, it's overall just a 2D, nothing too crazy. It has a cool skin. But it is a fast tank, you know. It has okay armor, depending on the BR that you're going to face, okay ammo, but it is pretty alright. It is pretty good. It's not a bad tank. But compared to the Leopard 1, I think it's way better, for example. Just because it's a Leopard 2, it's a tank that it's just overall better, and for me, more fun to actually play. That's why I would add the Leopard 1 here as not great, not terrible, but the Leopard 2A4, I think it's the most bang for the buck, especially for the Germans, right? So it depends. It's not, I mean, for example, the Centauro, it's the only tank that we have here in the sale for the French. The Centauro, no, the AMX-30. So there's not much that you can actually do with it. There's not much to compare it to. But I still think that it is not that great. So it's not great, not terrible for me, because it is a very limited tank in the armor, in the way that everything is, the fire control system, everything like that. It's kind of limited compared to some of the others. And remember, they're kind of all the same price. So yeah, it's, you know, so every single one that I'm going to talk about it here, it is compared to the other ones. It's not that the tank itself is bad. So if it's considered a money out of the window, it doesn't mean that the tank is actually bad. It's just that there is probably something better for you to actually buy in the same nation, or something easier to drive or something like that, right? So yeah, let's go. So yeah, as I said, the Leopard 2A4 I think is just a very good option. It's just a very easy tank to drive, you know. It has mobility, which is a very good thing, together with alright armor. I mean, it's not the greatest thing ever, but it depends on the BR that you're going to face. If you get a down tier, maybe it will normally take a punch, but if you get it up tier, it's going to have trouble. So it depends, right? In the ammunition, I would say the same. The Leopard, I think, yes, it's very mobile. Yes, it has a very good gun and the ammo is very good, but it has a problem. It has basically no armor at all. So even lower tier tanks can one-shot this thing very easily. So that's why I considered here. The AMX-30, it's been a while since I actually saw this vehicle and actually take a look on it. If I'm not mistaken, this one, I don't remember, but I could be wrong. But I don't think it has a stabilizer. That's the main problem with it. If it doesn't have it, yeah. If it does, I'm sorry, but I think it doesn't. And remember, this has the different engine. So yeah, it's pretty much very similar to the other AMX-30s, but with a different engine and stuff. So it's just I think that it's kind of doesn't have the most amount of armor. The mobility is all right, but nothing too crazy. The fire control system is kind of limited, but it is the only premium French tank that it's on sale right now. So it's all right, I guess. So not great, not terrible, right? Then the Centauro. Centauro, it's a tank that I think I would say that it's a very good investment. It depends on what it faces. Again, it's the same principle as you would see, for example, in the Leopard, but at least it's more mobile, you know, a little bit, but it is more mobile. And overall, just it depends. It always depends on these lightly armored vehicles. It always comes down to what you are facing, but not quite at the same time, because It comes down to the tanks that you're facing in the sense of because they are going to have better mobility, better armor, so it depends on that. But getting shot by anything will mean that you are dead, basically. So yeah, it's a great investment if you actually learn how to use it, because it doesn't have any armor whatsoever. The Challenger DS spec, I mean, it's all right. I would say that for the majority of the players, I would say it's kind of bad. I mean, it's an okay MBT in general, but it has a very weak lower plate. And overall, the armor itself is not bad, but the lower plate makes it like very easy to kill sometimes. The driver's hatch as well. I don't know. So it's 50-50, but due to that reason, together with the mobility of this tank, I would say that it's kind of bad. I mean, in the right hands and in the right map specifically, it can be a very good tank, but for the majority of players, you will end up suffering a little bit. I would say that the Rooikat is more of a good investment, in my opinion. It is kind of the same principle as the Centauro over here. It would be just overall faster and overall more player friendly. I always think on these type of, especially for buying like this type of tier lists, I always try to think that what is the easiest tank for you to actually use in this example for the average player, right? So something like the Challenger would be a little bit harder, even though it has a lot more armor than a Rooikat, and that can be handy sometimes, even though, yeah, they are different BRs and stuff, but still, it is something that I think it's just overall, like, for the majority of players' mobility in these maps that we have, smaller maps and stuff that are kind of CQB even, faster tanks like this normally have an advantage. For open maps, it's better to use a Challenger, but still. Then the CV90-105. To be honest, it is complicated. A lot of people love this thing, but a lot of people hate it, in my friends list at least. I would say not great, not terrible. It is very good in the sense of the tank overall, it's very good, but the armor is kind of limited as well. So it's one of those that you need to find the right map with the right play style to work. So I would say that it's average, but it is a very good premium nonetheless, right? The Merkava Mk.2D, I think it kind of falls into the same kind of category here. I would say that probably a good investment. I mean, it is, the way that the engine is and the armor it is, you can take a punch sometimes, but you lose your mobility. So it's something that this tank has a problem with, but I just feel like it's a more complete tank. It's more of an MBT, a proper MBT, right? So I don't know, it just feels more of a better investment than this. Of course, you cannot compare them too much because they're from different nations, but still. Then we go for the Soviet Union. I think, I don't know, none of these tanks, to be honest, will be a money out of the window. I really do enjoy all of them, and they have their play styles. Maybe the AMX, for me personally, would be more of a money out of the window, just because I really don't like the MX-30. But it's just a kind of an opinion. We'll add it here, redo the AMX, just for the sake of it, because I kind of don't like the tank. But don't hear me, okay? If you are a French main, it's just because I don't like the AMX too much. But people will enjoy, and of course, it's 50% discount. So yeah. The terms, depends on the player. If the player knows how a Soviet tank works, I would say that it's the most bang for the buck, because it is a T-72. So a T-72A, man, can take a punch sometimes, especially for the majority of the 105s. You know, the armor is really good against the 105s. And together with the ERA, you can take a punch together with hits and stuff. So it's a tank that you are like, always when you play with a T-72 like this, you would be like, how am I not dead yet? So if the target actually doesn't know where to shoot and it's fire 105, you can take a punch. Other cannons will go through the armor. But yeah, the mobility is all right for an MBT. I mean, it's worse than Leopard, specifically the reverse gear, but overall, it's all right. You can get to some position. It's still better than a Challenger, in my opinion. And the armor is pretty good all around, you know, it's just an overall good tank. And plus, the cannon is amazing, and together with the cannon that is amazing, you have a thermal system that is pretty good as well. So that is always something to consider in any tank that we are talking about it here. The T55 is something that back in the day I would say that it was a great investment. Right now with the terms here, I wouldn't say that it's that good. It's all right still. I think it's a good option. But you gotta love the T55, I mean, to get it instead of the T72. The T72 is just way better. It's kind of slow. The armor is pretty bad depending on what you were fighting. The gun is all right, nothing too crazy as well. It's an old tank that has a very good modification. So, I don't know, it's good, but nothing too crazy as well, okay? I would still take the T72. Then we have the Type 96. This one is an actual tank that I really enjoy. It doesn't have any armor. I would say that for the majority of players, it might be not great, not terrible, or even kind of bad, depending. But I would say that it's an alright, I mean, I don't know. Now I'm divided. Maybe not great, not terrible. I was going to put it in great investment, but the thing is that the armor of the Type 96 is pretty kind of bad, right? Especially to these massive lower glaces that he has. I mean, it's still kind of like a T72 with less armor. The mobility is the same as the T72. The major thing that this thing has is the Stora system, which is, I mean, I don't know if it's the exact name, but it is the same system as the T90, right? So it can be safer, kind of, with depending on the ATGM that they are launching from you. But everything else will go through this armor very quickly, and it doesn't have a lot of mobility. So the only thing that it has going for it is the cannon, together with the Stora system, which is alright in certain situations. But still, not the most useful thing ever, but still it's good to have it. And overall, it's just a very interesting tank. If you already have the Type 96, you will know that it is a very fun tank to actually drive, but it has its limitations. It's a very solid tank, but it is limited in some aspects. I would still think that all of these are more just easier to actually drive. And then we have the last one for the US, a tank that a lot of people like. I still think that it's a great investment. Even to this day, it is a tank that has barely any armor, but it has thermals at a lower BR, and I mean, it has a very good mobility. It's very easy to use. And overall, I mean, there are things that I would choose before this one. The Type 96 is one of them. I still think that the Type 96 is a more fun tank to drive. But overall, for an investment for you to actually get tanks and other stuff, I still think that it's an easier tank to use. And it is just overall, it lacks on a lot of things like armor and specifically the ammo as well. But it has a great mobility. And yeah, it has thermals, so it's always nice to have thermals at the VR. So yeah, very good. But anyway, of course, remember another disclaimer, I'm not a main tanker. I normally play aircraft, but these are my opinions on these vehicles that are on sale right now. Hopefully it has been helpful. Remember, just because they are down here doesn't mean that they are bad, especially because, for example, France doesn't have anything else. It's just personally, I love the other tanks more than these two. But still, you know how it is. I have to do the tier list, right? So putting them all in the same kind of bowl here, I would still pick these two over all of these, and then pick these over these, and then pick these over these, and then the last AMX, right? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. See ya.